it's your boy Davidoff. So I used to do videos like this where I react to draws. I'm not really reacting here. I'm just, I've already seen the draw. I'm just looking at it right now. We got the Champions League and Europa League draws. We'll look at this one first. And I'll tell you who I think will win, but just roughly, you know. This is a very good draw. I normally have problems with like draws being like repetitive and, you know, certain draws being favoured to certain teams. But this for me is almost perfect. The only way it could have been better is if Man City had a harder game. I think Man City will win the game against Leipzig. I think the first one, apart from the first one, the other 7, those are some incredible matchups, and I'm very intrigued to see what will happen. Club Brugge and Benfica, they're 2 clubs who I don't see as tournament-winning contenders, but they're facing each other, and I think it's a tie where either team can go through. My prediction would be Benfica, but I would not count out Club Brugge. They went through, which I did not expect at all. They went through in their group, which was big for them. Could have been top, but they finished second. But still, considering they finished second, they got, you know, probably the best possible draw that they could have gotten. So fair play to them, and they've got an opportunity here. But my prediction is Benfica, and also for the first one, my prediction is Man City. Then you got Liverpool against Real Madrid. Huge game. Huge game. Liverpool will want revenge. They're not quite as good as they have been the past few years. Obviously, winning the league, Champions League, they were very good those years. They're sort of like on a decline a little bit now. Having said that, you know, they won 5 of their group games. You know, Champions League are not looking too bad. They finished second, of course, but that's second to a Napoli team who've been incredible and who are top of the Serie A. So, you know, can't be too embarrassed about that. Considering how bad they've been in the Premier League, Liverpool have been quite good in the Champions League, I feel. But still, they've got, you know, probably the worst draw. Either Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. Those are the 2 that you want to avoid if you finish second. But they got them. They got one of them. I think Real Madrid will win the game. Win overall. So the first game at Anfield, Liverpool to win 2-1. And then in the second game in Spain, Real Madrid to win 3-1, something like that. I think Real Madrid will win the game overall, win the tie. I keep saying game. There's 2 games. They'll win the tie. Real Madrid will win the tie, but it will be close, I think. Especially if Liverpool get a good lead at Anfield. You never know. But I think over 2 legs, especially considering the second leg is in Spain. If it was the other way around, who knows? You know, Anfield is crazy. But considering the second leg is in Madrid, I'm fully backing Real Madrid going through, and they're a lot better, obviously. Real Madrid a lot better this year, so they should be beating Liverpool, but, you know, it could be closer than we think. Milan v Spurs. Obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I want Spurs to lose, but I'd be lying to you if I said they couldn't win. Obviously, they can. I think they got a chance against Milan. Milan obviously second in Serie A, second only to the mighty Napoli. And also they're champions currently of Serie A. They won it last year, last season, which is this year. But yeah, you get the point. They've been good, Milan. And in the group stages, yes, they finished second. But, you know, they've been quite a good team recently. So I think it'll be quite tough for Spurs, especially in the first leg. But I think overall, I've got a feeling that Spurs will win the tie. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Milan go through. I hope Giroud scores a hat-trick of both legs. But it's hard for me to say that Spurs will lose because I think they can beat Milan over 2 legs. I think so. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But my prediction is Spurs. But Milan will be a tough challenge, I think. But, you know, Chelsea handled them well over 2 legs. And Spurs have been better than Chelsea this season. Just saying. Frankfurt v Napoli. Also very intriguing. Napoli, for me, are clearly a better team. I don't think just for me. I think for a lot of people, they're clearly a better team. But I don't think it's a mismatch. I think Frankfurt can challenge them over 2 legs. But I think they will need to get something in Germany in the first leg to take to Italy. Because otherwise, if they don't win in the first leg, going to Napoli is not going to be easy. So once again, very intrigued. It's an interesting tie. I think over 2 legs, Napoli will win. I like Napoli, by the way. I don't mind them. I like Napoli, but I would like to see. Sorry, that's my phone. I would like to see Frankfurt win. I would like to see Frankfurt win the tie. I really would. But I think Napoli will win. But we'll see. I like both teams, so I'm intrigued to see how they do. Borussia Dortmund v Chelsea, another interesting tie. My prediction here is Chelsea capitulates and get knocked out. They'll probably be better by this point in the season. Obviously, it's just after the World Cup, so I guess you never know. Obviously, the World Cup break will affect a lot of teams. We'll see how much it affects each team after the Premier League returns and other leagues return before the Champions League does. This is the first time I mentioned this anyway. For the whole, it applies to every team. But I think over 2 legs, even though it's in Germany first, I think the German side can beat Chelsea here. I think it's going to be very close, and I think Dortmund will win by 1 goal. But I could be wrong. I'm not saying Chelsea can't win. They can. They can, for sure. They top their group. And I think that they can beat Dortmund, but I got this sneaky feeling that they get eliminated by Borussia. Then you got Inter Milan v Porto, another interesting one. Inter Milan struggling a little bit, but still, you know, did quite well in their group. Helped knock out Barcelona, and obviously they were second to Bayern Munich, so you know it's not like it was it was an easy group. They had a very tough group. They got through it. In the league, they're struggling a bit. I think Porto will fancy their chances, but they will need a result. Maybe not necessarily like a point, sorry. They might not necessarily need a draw or a win, but if they can like get back to Portugal only being at the worst like 1 goal down, I think they'll have a good chance. But my prediction is Inter Milan. I think Inter Milan will win that game, but I think Porto will cause them a lot of problems, and I'm very intrigued to see what will happen there. And then you've got PSG versus Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, obviously a huge team, and PSG, obviously, they've got a super team built with a lot of money. Obviously owned by they're basically owned by Qatar, pretty much. They've got some incredible players. Messi's performing better now. Last season he had a bad season, at least in terms of goal scoring anyway, but this season he's been much better. It is after the World Cup, of course, so you never know what conditions certain players are in, but still, Messi's playing better. PSG as a whole are playing a bit better, so they'll have a better chance than they would have last season. But I think it will be a Bayern Munich victory on away goals. I'm calling it now. On away goals, Bayern Munich will win. So it'll be like, I don't know, 2-1 PSG in France, and then 1-0 Bayern Munich in Germany. Something like that. I think it'll be a Bayern Munich away goal victory. So, yeah, but a very good tie. The first one is the only one where I think definite winner here. I think any of these 7 could go either way. Even though I predicted Real Madrid, Benfica, Spurs, Napoli, Borussia Dortmund, Inter Milan, and Bayern Munich. I predicted that, sure, but like I also think that anything can happen in these games. It could be any result, so I'm very excited. And obviously this game, I think we have an obvious winner. I could be wrong though. Leipzig are not bad. They're good. I just think Man City will have too much for them over 2 legs. But we shall see about that. On to Europa League. This is the Europa League draw. The standout, the obvious standout, is Barcelona v Man United. You're probably wondering, well, I mean, you probably won't be, but some people were wondering, where's Arsenal? Where's the other teams that were in the competition? Well, there's a different format since last season. So first place teams in each Europa League group, they get a bye round, so they miss this round. So these teams are playing off for the chance to play one of the 8 teams that won their group, basically. So yeah, this is basically the second place teams against second place Europa League teams against third place Champions League teams. So it's like a playoff round, and then the 8 winners will face the 8 group winners. There's no draw for that yet. They usually do a double draw, like the winners face this team and that team. They've not done that this year. They've only done a playoff draw, unfortunately. So I don't know, like Arsenal could play any of these. We don't know at the moment, but we can just sit back and enjoy this, considering, you know, we won't have to play in this round. We get a bye round, which is nice, along with 7 other teams, of course. But yeah, the standout here is clearly Barcelona v Man United. Now, I grew up with this rivalry of Arsenal v Man United in the early 2000s. I was a kid growing up. In my school, there was a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of Man United fans, and a lot of Tottenham fans. So as you can tell, probably, the Monday after the weekend, when we play each other, is chaos. And most of the time, Man United would beat us, most of the time. So imagine losing to Man United on the weekend and then going to school on Monday knowing there's Man United fans there waiting to banter you. Alright, this happened in primary school and secondary school, and also obviously the football itself. Obviously, I grew up hating Manchester United because losing to them wasn't fun. We had a rivalry with them. We did beat them sometimes. We won the league a few times against them. It was great, but they won most of the leagues and we lost to them more than we beat them. So that was very frustrating in itself. But on top of that, to go to school and to be Man United fans waiting to throw banter your way. I hated Man United so much. It was the same with Spurs, but with Spurs, like, we beat them more than we didn't, especially back then. But with Man United, it was just constant chaos and they beat us more. And even after we stopped challenging for the title, the rivalry was still there. Like, we slipped away 2007 onwards, but we still hated them and they still hated us up until maybe Ferguson retired. When he retired, they kind of like died down again. But we still hate each other. There's still a rivalry there. It's just that it used to be so fierce. So I grew up hating them. So like, I want them to fail. But on this occasion, I want them to win. Why? Because I absolutely despise Barcelona. I despise them. Fellow Arsenal fans, you know what I'm talking about. 2011, Van Persie red card. Say no more. We lost by 1 goal over 2 legs against one of the best Barcelona teams ever. We competed with them. We beat them at the Emirates. We went to the Nou Camp. Overall, lost by 1 goal. But that Van Persie red card was stupid and harsh. I have seen plenty of players kick the ball away after being offside and never get a card. But he got a card that day. I've seen so many players do it after him and not get anything. Alright, that was ridiculous. I don't want to say it's fixed, but it was. I hated Barcelona from that moment onwards. So I always want to see their downfall, and obviously they had this terrible time in the Champions League, and I hope that Man United give them even more of a terrible time. Even though I hate Man United myself, and I just explained to you why, I would rather Man United win than Barcelona. And that's my prediction. I think Man United can beat Barcelona, and hopefully Ronaldo rejuvenates his form from previous seasons and finishes them off, because they might need him to. But my prediction is Man United, and it might be because of my bias. Like, I want Barca to lose more than Man United to lose in this game. But my prediction is Man United, and I really hope Barcelona gets smashed. Alright, and if they don't get smashed, I hope we draw them and we smash them instead. Alright, I've had enough. Juventus v Nantes. That sounded weird. Juventus, I think, will win this game. Obviously, they've not been as good recent years, this year and last year. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see how they do. They're struggling in Serie A at the moment, and in Europe, obviously, struggling as well. But yeah, I think they'll beat Nantes at least. I think they will. Sporting Lisbon, I think, will defeat Midtjylland. Shakhtar and Rennes. I predict draw overall, and Rennes to win on penalties. I think Ajax will beat Union Berlin. I think Bayer Leverkusen will beat Monaco. I think Sevilla will beat PSV because Sevilla are Europa League specialists. They've won it like 5 times in the last, 15 years? They've been incredible at this competition. They won it 3 times in a row a few years ago. Whenever Sevilla play Europa League, I'm just, it's hard not to think they'll win. Salzburg v Roma, I think Mourinho's men will beat Salzburg. So this was easier to predict for me than Champions League one. The top one could go either way, I think. But I think the rest of the 7, I feel like Juventus will win. I think Sporting Midtjylland could be close. Shakhtar Rennes could be close as well. That could be any result. I think Ajax will win. Yes, I know they've been struggling this year, but I still think they will win against Union Berlin. Bayer Leverkusen and Monaco, I think, also could be close. Sevilla PSV as well. Like, PSV are a good team, and I think they can possibly beat Sevilla, but I'm just not entirely sure. I think Sevilla just they're just really good at this competition, so it's hard to bet against them. But I think PSV have a chance. And Salzburg Roma as well. I think Roma will win, but it could be close. So like, apart from Juventus, also the other 7 could go either way. But having said that, I still predicted these a lot easier than the Champions League ties. But still, Barcelona Man United, respectfully, I hope Barcelona get smashed 8-0 on both legs and get 10 red cards. Actually, wait, that wouldn't make sense because 5 red cards is a forfeit. So yeah, they'll forfeit both games. Wait, what happens if you get 5 red cards in the first leg and you forfeit? Do you play the second leg? Or... Jordan will know, Jordan will know. Jordan, if you're watching, answer this in the comments. This is your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. And these ties will be in February as far as I know. Or late January. Goodbye.